Welcome to Perfect Specimen. This is episode 6. We're on a roll, Josh.
Episode 6.
Episode 6. This week we're going to get into some fitness news. A lot of stuff going on. It's kind of crazy out there. Liver King is back.
That's wild.
He's
back, baby.
It makes sense because it's just like people are like curious about what's going on, and they'll always be curious, even though you had such a downfall. I know you were a liver head for a while there.
Well, I just don't understand how you can be exposed as being such a fraud. And, he's such a just obnoxious character. He's like a fraud, a character, but I think people just don't care. At a certain point, the consumption space of the world is like the more just verbose and outlandish you can be, you're going to get more views at the end of the day. And that's what that entity is.
Yeah, I think people are just curious, right? They're like, okay, how is he going to come back from this? I wonder what his fan base is like now. There have to be some loyal people that are like, I don't care, blah, blah, blah. He's the Liver King. He'll always be the Liver King,
I wanted to believe so bad when you first hit the scene.
And he just got exposed. Oh, that's rough. I guess some of the stuff they talk about. Have you seen the Netflix show yet?
No, I didn't even know this.
Yeah, so apparently there's a documentary about him. It's some interesting stuff in here. I got like a summary. So his desire to get rips comes from not knowing his father, which is an interesting one. His first orgasm was on a bench press, which checks out.
God. Yeah, right.
So I guess I remember hearing about this too. He turned to liver because his son's poor health, right? Is that the whole thing? That liver provided a bunch of nutrients and stuff, and that helped bring him back and his son back to health?
Yeah, I think that was kind of the background of that guy.
Yeah, and then I guess he used steroids. It was what he claims. Again, this is based off an article I found, as a way to get more reach, which I guess makes sense. Like the bigger buffer you are, the more reach you have, so the better you can like get this information out there. But at the same time, it wasn't just him giving information. It was his supplements and everything else. Like he was making money off this as well. So I don't think you can just say like, oh, it was a way for me to get more reach. It was a way to get more money and more reach, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And apparently he's eating fruits and veggies now too. So,
well, I mean that's sort of what we have to be primed for now. Is whenever something looks enticing on the internet, it's like probably for these people, like this is their livelihood.
Yeah. And
their avenue is profits and money, and the fitness space I think is loaded with this stuff. People that can get their bodies looking a certain way prey directly to the desires of people wanting to look that way. Yeah. And for some reason, it's so easy to get tricked in that space because I think people want the shortcuts. They want the answer. Yeah. And so they're looking for the supplement, the program, the hack. Yeah. And they're like, well, I found the hack, and really the hack is discipline. The hack is consistency. We've talked about this before. It doesn't really matter what program you follow as long as you are showing up consistently, right? Yep. You like the program hopping a little bit.
The variety.
I've done my fair share, but I've kind of settled on one I've been doing for about a year now. Yeah. But at the end of the day, pick something, do something, and consistently do it. Yeah. Right. So then you look at, like I had a buddy that messaged me. There's a guy going around. His handle on Instagram is like Judd Leinhart or something like that. Have you ever seen that guy? No. He's jacked. Like the guy's absolutely jacked. But he'll show you doing like rows, and he's got like bands. He's rowing with bands and hooked up to this cable pulley machine and doing all these weird sort of movements. And I messaged my buddy back. I'm like, you're not going to look like that just by attaching a band to a cable pulling machine. Like it's so goofy, and they brand it as like my system, my way. I'm training functionally, and so people will get it in their head. Oh, if I train like this, I'll look like that. It's not how it works.
Yeah, people just want that shortcut. They don't want to put in the work. Like it's tough because you're right. They basically are like predators almost, right? Like it's just, like give me your money and I'm gonna get results for you. I was listening to a Chris Williamson podcast, the Modern Wisdom one. He was talking to Naval, I forget his last name, like the famous Twitter guy. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
And he's saying like same idea goes with like the internet gurus or the mentors and blah blah blah. Like take my class and blah blah. It's like, well, like if you have to pay to take your class, and you're probably not the person that we think you are. Like if you're just making money off that, like, oh, I'll teach you how to get rich. Well, you're selling a class to get rich, so that's probably how you're getting rich, not what you're going to teach in that class. So it's very interesting, these personalities and stuff, and you have to be careful because they're just, at the end of the day, like a lot of it is just scams, right? And you just don't know.
Yeah. You trace it back. How are people making their money? Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a driving force for a lot of people, but it's freeing in a lot of ways. Like, you look at, our professions as firefighters.
Yeah.
It's a free way for us to generate, and I'm saying free in terms of like, I feel like I'm not selling something in order to pursue my interests or my hobbies, and so there's tons of ways in which people make money in this world. And you have to almost find the thing for you as a human being that ignites enough of the interests and the passions in your life, and then it allows you to do it in a way that you feel good about.
Yeah, it's like that honesty and that, like doing it for the right reason, not just to make money, like doing it because you actually want someone to get better, and like that altruistic reason of like, this is the best reason. Like, behind what Liver King, I guess, preaches is like, I truly want people to get better and healthier by doing this. Like, sure, he went about it the wrong way, but I think there is good behind some of these motives, and you just have to not get lost in the chaos when you're doing that, right? When people are making these programs.
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good. One of the interesting things, so I use some AI. Oh, it's funny. I did a course at work the other day, a real shitty course. Like, I think you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say it because I failed it. But I got 75. The pass is 80%. I used AI for the entire thing just because it's complete garbage course. Like, it's all just so stupid.
Yes.
And it's funny because I was like, AI, how is AI wrong? Like, how did AI get all this wrong, being so advanced? Yeah. And I saw this thing too of like, is AI going too far in the fitness space? Can you trust it? Can you rely on it? And me having just failed that, I believe that AI is not where it needs to be, off personal experience. I believe it's a good like benchmark, but you can't fully trust it. Like, you need to do your research, you need to do your background checks on it, because it is ultimately pulling from what's available, right? It's not always going to pull from scientific studies and well-researched things. It's just grabbing what is widely available and what is widely trusted, whether it's right or not. So we're at a kind of interesting crossroads where people are using AI for all these different things, and you're going to see it more and more in the fitness space. Like, Amazon has an AI mirror apparently, which corrects your form, which is kind of cool. Like, it's pretty sweet just to have that instant feedback. But I think underneath that, like, whether it has programming and stuff attached to it, I'm not sure, but there's probably an expert looking at that, right? I think you can get maybe, again, 75-80% of the way there. AI will get you there, but you need those checks and balances at the end to make sure that it is right. I don't know. What do you feel about that?
I think it may have a role to play in like progressive overloading programs, or like bodybuilding style programs where, you'd put in your, it's kind of like similar to the RPE strength app, but imagine, kind of an advanced version of that, where you could maybe communicate with it and be like, this is what I want. This is, my equipment I have. Build me a program with this many weeks.
Yep.
And you know how right now you're having to, like, if you want to build your RP template, you either have to choose a pre-selected template, or input it yourself. You might be able to just prompt what you want, and it would build you the template, and then be like, actually sub out bench press for inclined dumbbell press. and have it alternate every other week.
Yeah.
Be flat bench and then incline dumbbell bench for 6 weeks, and it would just keep prompting until I like this program. Awesome. Now, make this progressively overloaded, and this is my goals, and maybe it would sort of be able to help you build a program faster.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where I see
Yeah,
it, less in like the form correcting.
I think you're on the right
like
path with even the variances. Like if you need like, hey, my shoulder hurts this week, how can I sub this out? Like, hey, I'm hurting a little when I do this. What are some tweaks? And maybe I'll give you those prompts and stuff. But I think there's also a piece of that person needs to be well aware enough in that mind-body connection of like, what hurts, what is pulling when I do which movement, is my form correct, right? And it's I think it's definitely a better tool than people have had in the past, for sure. And I'm curious to see more businesses, because more businesses will start to use it and get involved with it and stuff like that, right? It's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, no, it's the train's left the station.
Yep.
And it's getting crazy. Like
they're building the tracks as it goes, though, right?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, it might be as big as sort of what the internet was, but we're just in such the early stages of it where we don't quite realize what's going to come from it.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to some people speculate that in 10 years, we might see like eradication of diseases and ailments and Alzheimer's and cancers and all these things getting cured with it. And so maybe.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
I know the new Pope isn't really on board with that. Did you see that? He's like kind of condemning it a bit, which I don't know. I feel like there needs to be more system, like checks and balances in place, because my fear is like the Terminator thing, you know what I mean? Like I think that's everybody's a Skynet, and just them taking over, right? I don't know what the current, like, what is holding that back. I guess just the AI itself not being able to.
Yeah, well, you'd have to put checks and balances in.
Yeah.
But, governments will, I think always pursue some form of surveillance and intertwine it with AI, and that's probably going to keep pursuing in that direction. And, it's like, at a certain point, people might just feel more comfortable getting out of cities and just living a more simple life on an acreage, being, a little bit away from all the chaos and the AI and the noise. And I remember I have some buddies that live down in Nelson, and there's a valley that kind of runs just outside Nelson, and it can take you all, like there's like New Denver and Nikip and all these different places. And that valley is like, there's no cell service in there, and it's gorgeous. You got like a flowing river through it, these little beautiful acreages, and a lot of them will have Starlink and sun panels and solar panels and battery banks, and so they're off the grid 100%. They got well water. And you think about that sort of lifestyle compared to being in a city, in the AI sphere where you're just getting bombarded. It's two different lifestyles, at a certain point it's probably going to keep getting crazier and crazier for people, and I bet you some people will want out, and they're going to want a simple life.
It's interesting because I had this conversation this morning, actually, as I dropped the kids off with a friend of mine who he went out of banking and into real estate. Super smart guy, and he was talking about like the new world order or whatever, and like the narrative is to kind of all these rentals, which you're seeing like in our area where we are. It's all these high rise, mid rise, whatever construction with pure rentals. Like you can't own it. It's controlled by whatever, like big business or the government, and supported by the government and everything like that. And he's like, you are seeing less and less people being able to afford the dream of like that acreage that you're talking about, that free space and whatever. Smaller backyards, cookie cutter homes. Like it's just getting more and more condensed, and that's just, I think, immigration coming to into play, and just the availability of those acreages and lands and that wide open space. Like it's less and less, and as we grow, it's tougher to afford that stuff. So I don't know what. Yeah, it's tough to. Oh, that's my phone. Goddamn it, wife. it's tougher to kind of visualize how everybody gets that, and not everybody's going to get that, right? It goes like talking with one of my friends. I remember my vegan friend a while ago. He's like, "Oh yeah, not everybody can afford grass fed. Not everybody can afford this. Not everybody can afford that." And you're seeing all these different paths that people take. You know, it's the path of like, I want to be connected in the city. I want to be fully integrated, or I want the complete. And then there's the in betweens of like, how far on either end of the spectrum do you go? Right? Are you fully connected? Like, are you chipped up, AI, everything, like whatever, or are you just completely off the grid? And you're seeing people kind of sway one way or the other. And I think people are swaying more towards the AI, but as you get a bad taste in your mouth, people will always shoot off, right?
I think there's also sort of like you want what you don't have sometimes. And I've noticed that, like, I'm on this acreage out of the city right now, but there's like constantly times when I'm like, it would be nice to be in the city. Like every time I want to go get something, I'm driving back into Calgary and doing this. And there is a beauty to the connectedness, like the mixed use occupancies that you're seeing now. So like think of something like Kensington, which, you know, has a vibrant business scene, and then you have all of these apartment buildings that live above the businesses, and sort of everything you need is all within walking distance. There's a energy in the air in those places. There's just stuff happening, right? People are out doing things. You feel like a little bit energized just being kind of in the hustle, right? It can be overstimulating. It can be overwhelming, which is why I think sometimes when you get out to an acreage, you kind of relax. But there is sort of a get shit done energy when you're around people in a busy environment, you know, where from a spiritual relaxation state, that's probably not the best for you. But if you're young and you want to just like get going, like there's probably value to that too, right?
I'm reading a book right now, I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but it talked about the importance of community, like in happiness. And so I think that kind of goes to what you're saying, is like being so interconnected. You need your own space, you need your own time to decompress and all that, but having the availability to go and be parts of these groups, whether you're part of a run club or you're downtown doing whatever, these meetings, coffee shops, dinners, all that piece, right? The nightlife and everything, it's important, right? And people need that. So like single people, maybe just like couples, whatever, it's important. But maybe as you have that community as a family and you're in these little more offshoot areas, maybe that's more important. I don't know what, it depends, I think, on the family group and the dynamic of that, right?
So let me pose that question back to you then. Like, what are your communities? What if you were to look at your life and do a kind of an assessment? Like, what are your communities that you're in?
I think so. The fire hall is the obvious one, right? Like that's just where you go, and it's busy, chaotic, and so I get that piece out of my life. But even like I find myself in the evenings, like I want to be able to go play video games with friends online, whatever. You connect through that piece, right? So it is that virtual connection. So you don't necessarily need to be with people, but even going on like a weekly golf outing, or for the kids, they have their sports groups and whatever else. Like they have school, there's a big community piece there, and then they have their little sports clusters within that, right? Jen has her little farming stuff and all her friends like that. So it's those. It doesn't need to be the big, huge community pieces, but you need to have those connections that are available to you, right? So even like I know she'll call, her mom lives in BC, so she calls her at almost every week, a couple times a week, right? And we'll just chat away. So that's that connection piece, I think, and that's what it's important for the happiness perspective, right? I think you need that. Like, what do you feel about that?
I couldn't agree more. Like, we're social people, and I think you need to, if you can find communities of like-minded people, where you're just all supporting each other, doing things that you enjoy. I mean, it's interesting. Like, if I reflect this onto my own life, I've got communities for their own things. You know, like I ski patrol. Yeah. So I've got my ski patrolling community. You know, we're all making jokes on Discord. We're doing get-togethers once in a while. We have, you know, end-of-season banquets, and we, you know, do training and all this sort of stuff. And I'm still a coach at a CrossFit gym, right? CrossFit Calgary. And so I've got that community. I've got the fire hall community. I've got my high school friends. And so they're all sort of nested in different places and almost fulfill different things for me, you know, in my life. It's like they're totally different. Like the CrossFit community literally does something different for me than my ski patrol group does, and as my high school friends and my fire guys. They're all important to my life. And yeah, it, as you get further, as you age, your responsibilities change, you mature, your hobbies change, and so you have to always do a reflection on where am I, and are my communities serving me, and am I participating in my communities? I think a lot of things, a lot of times, sometimes there's an energy in, energy out with your communities. So you can just take from them, right? Yeah. But are you contributing back to those communities? And actually, sometimes if you contribute more into the communities, you'll get more back your way too. So at a certain point, if you're being spread too thin, maybe dropping one thing, being able to put more time into something else will serve you better, right? But that reflection piece on where you are, and you know, you've only got so many hours in the day and in a week, and you got to figure out how you're going to spend those hours.
Yeah, it's like that prioritization, but also not getting solely consumed. Like we have people that we know that are full fire, like their gas tank is just full fire. They don't have any other ones. So what happens when that's gone, or what happens when that burns you out? Like you have no other piece. And I think going back to what you said, it's important to have all these different little chunks that they fulfill different needs and they give you different things, right? And that's, I think, super crucial.
Yeah, you know, but you can go kind of devil's advocate for those people. You almost need those hyper obsessed one niche people, because they're so they drive the industry forward in their own right. You know, you get the guys like we took that Hyrox course. Yeah, that Brent Brooks, he's a high rise expert out of Toronto. Like that guy lives, breathes fire, like to the nth degree. He's got his whole like garage at home set up with model.
Well, they were walking around like the town we were, the city, just like checking out high rises, like just walking around, just checking out, because that's what they love, and it is very interesting. Maybe our minds just work differently, right? Whereas like, I don't know if you subscribe to like the 80% model or whatever it is of like, go to 80% of what you can do in a certain thing and then move on, right? If you're at 100 and you're an expert, that's great, but how much time did it take you to go from 80 to 100? And like, can you fulfill different areas, right? Yeah. Would you rather do 5 different things well, or one thing extremely good? You know, it's that argument of like specialization versus variety, right?
Okay, so this is a very interesting topic, right? Because it's going to take you a lot more hours to get from that 80 to 100. Yeah. But I think in everything you do, there's like the beginning stage. And then there's, once you crest that beginning stage, then there's like the fun stage. Yeah. And so, and it doesn't matter, pick a topic, golf. Like there's a period of time in which you go out and you swing and you have no clue what you're doing, and it's awful and you hate it and it's miserable. If you can commit a base amount of hours, and it's probably different for everything. Maybe for golf, it's like if you commit 100 hours, you'll crest that, and then there's like fun and joy and beauty and flow and creativity on the other side of that. Same with skiing. When you're first learning to ski, you're stuck in this overthinking mind state of like, I'm scared. I don't know what my body's supposed to be doing. I'm clumsy. I'm falling. I'm overthinking it. You overcome that, and all of a sudden, you know, you get to a point where it is your creative outlet. You're flowing. The hill is a canvas of what you want to make of it, right? And it's a form of creativity, truly. But you're right. Like at a certain point, some things will just detract away from you experiencing new things if you want to pursue excellence in that one domain. If I want to be the best downhill skier, I'm not mountain biking. No. Well, maybe because it's in the summer. Maybe that's a bad example. But you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. There's an opportunity cost to pursue excellence. Right? When is enough enough? When is it good enough? Like you were wanting to pursue fly fishing, and I don't see you talking too much about fly fishing anymore.
And I saw like the cost of what it would be, and it was just like, okay, the amount of time away from my family, like what I'm actually getting. I had to line someone else up to teach me. Like there's not that instant feedback. It was difficult. And not that I didn't like didn't enjoy the challenge. It's just it wasn't rewarding enough, right? And I have these like I've been wake surfing for a long time. I'll give you an example, and snowboarding for a long time, and I'm pretty good at them. I've gotten past that 80%, I would say, and now it's boring, right? It's you have to go push the extreme so far to actually get more fulfillment out of it. So like the amount of time it would take for me to get in and do like a big spin now, like a 360 with a shove it, I could commit myself to learning to that, but the amount that was going to go into learning that one thing, will I get more out of something else by putting that in? You know what I mean? Like
100%.
And that's where I'm like, I'm loving golf right now. And maybe when I get to a certain point, say you break 80 or whatever it is, and you keep pushing, like it's going to suck you in so far that is that worth it? It's going to take away from other things now. And are you truly being happy doing it? And it's a tough balance to find because you don't know where that is. And it's just, you have to go off that feel, right?
You're so right, Derek, because there's so much to improve upon right now with golf. Like it's not like literally I'd say we're both in the beginner stages where we're just drinking from the fire hose and we're making these massive strides. And so it's super exciting seeing yourself get better at something. Yeah. But you're right. The further we go down it, the smaller the improvements are going to be. Yeah. And it's going to be small. And it's going to kind of just flatline. And then at a certain point, you're going to have to say, okay, like I'm probably good enough. Yeah. Like I'm just going to, at this point, just go out and enjoy the game. Yeah. And be with friends, but how much time am I going to spend at a driving range trying to perfect this aspect of my ball flight? Like,
getting this coaching, changing this technique, like how deep down that rabbit hole do you get, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's tough.
I had a university professor, and it was actually one of the best things I've learned in university, and it's so simple, but it's always stuck with me. And he was like, you have to think about everything through the lens of an opportunity cost.
Yeah.
It's like when you're doing anything, you're not doing something else. There is an opportunity cost to every decision you make, and you have to be okay with the opportunity cost. Right?
So how would you say you go through and prioritize things now? Because there's certain things, like I think we've talked about this before. There's certain things you have to cut out of your life. Like, what do I want to actually do? Like, I saw your bow the other day, and it's like, oh, how much have you actually shot your bow? It's like, again, that's the opportunity cost. So how have you gone about like flushing out what's important to you and not?
Certain things are non-negotiable. And so like something like fitness it's a non-negotiable because it's not something that you have to do whether you enjoy it or not. Like that to me is a consistency and a discipline aspect. Motivation for something like fitness will come and go. You can't rely on motivation. You have to rely on your discipline. So non-negotiable. But when it comes to hobbies and stuff like that, it really, I think, is just what I'm interested in. And I find that I think we're very similar in which we can get very obsessed with things and then it can just shift to something else and you can get totally obsessed with something else. And that's my personality. Everyone that's known me knows that I just kind of bounce from thing to thing to thing. And I don't really know when it moves on. But sometimes it just does. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I'm interested in this thing now. And I just kind of just dive down that rabbit hole. I've sort of set my life into seasons. And when I looked at my year, for the longest time, I was always looking forward to the winter so I could ski. And summers, I was like, it's nice out, but I just didn't have things I was doing that was exciting for me. And I've kind of found something in every season now. So I've got my summer, which I'm now golfing and mountain biking. My shoulder season, which is hunting. And then that takes me right into ski season. And right at the end of ski season, that bridges back into golf. And so there's actually something I'm enjoying doing at this point in my life at all times. And kind of the first time ever, because when I was younger, I couldn't afford a mountain bike and I couldn't afford golf. And people can say, oh, we'll go for a hike. I don't know. Sometimes it's just hiking is a bit boring.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful. How many hikes can you do?
Yeah,
Like,
there needs to be a better stimulus, in my opinion. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I like that approach, the seasonal approach, because I've very similar where it's summers, the water sports stuff, and golf now, right? The shoulder seasons are the interesting ones, right? Where I almost look forward to the vacations, like the getaways of like surfing, but those are such short little like 1 week things that it's tough, and that's where like I get too far into the video games and whatever else. And it's been nice having that golf sim in the garage because I can go out there and like whack balls, and it's a nice like release, right? Something to do, right? And it's been good. So I do
have a question about that.
Hit me with it.
So, okay, so you and Brant hit like hundreds of hours, or you're a lot of hours of balls, and like spent a lot of time on the sims, and then you're like, man, I took it out to the actual course, and it doesn't seem to have translated. Have you been able to work that out in your head? Like, I'm sure stuff has translated, but what was the gap there? Why didn't it translate?
The consistency piece is like, it's so consistent on the sim because you're ball after ball after ball after ball, and it's the exact same surface every single time. Whereas when you go on the range or you go on the course, I think it helps with swim mechanics, and there's certain things you can dial in, but there's certain things you can't control of, like, okay, the drive's good, but in my case, my driver I can't use in the garage because I don't have enough space for it. So even like drive is not great. But on really good lies, I've noticed like, oh, I can hit it really pure and it's nice. But in the rough stuff or you're off angle or whatever, it's now different, right? So even though the swing mechanic might be there, you're not hitting as pure as you are. You're on an off angle. You have to adjust. So it's more, I guess, athletic out there. Right. So it's very consistent. But when you get out there, it'd be like driving a Formula One car versus like the Dakar, like the off road, whatever. Like, it's a completely different environment. You need to adapt to that. So, I've noticed like very first round was humbling. Like putting was actually really good because what I do in between our workouts is I'll putt, and so my putting was crazy. And then I haven't been doing that lately, so my putting the last couple have sucked. But my other stuff's picked up because I've kind of realized I need to like tweak in between. But it's so funny because I remember Brant saying that. He's like, wow, that was a wake up call. Like, what did I just spend all this money on a sim for? Like, God, I think you are getting little pieces. It's just not what you think, right? It's like, it's certain form stuff, and maybe you'll get 1-2 strokes every couple months off that just by dialing in that consistency with that form. So I think that's the most important thing. But yeah, it's the humility piece because it's just, that sport is crazy.
And at a certain point, it's like being at the range hitting balls is not golf.
No.
Like golf is a different thing. Like, yes, that can help golf sometimes, but like if you want to get better at golf, you have to golf. You have to go play the game. It'd be
like shooting basketball. Like if you're out there and just dialing in 3-pointers, like sure, like you're gonna get better at that, but you go into an actual game, like when there's someone defending you, you're out of breath, you're running, blah, 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 like it's a different animal. Sure, you'll probably have that same flow, the same mechanics, but you have to adapt to the environment you're in now, and it's different, right? And that I think has been tough.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Been a hit to the ego, but yeah, it's getting there. It's getting better.
I'm gonna buy a perfect putting mat.
Are you?
For the winter, I think.
Absolutely.
Just
throw it in the gym, man. It's awesome. In between sets, you're just hitting it, and it's interesting because your muscles will be sore and stuff. So you really gotta like concentrate on your form and just dial in the form and the stroke.
Yeah, you're breathing heavy. Have you seen those guys that they basically, it's like speed golf?
Yeah.
And they see how fast they can play 18. So they're like, they hit the ball and then they just start running towards the ball.
Yeah, that's crazy. I saw some guy in New Zealand, I think, did it in some crazy time. And he only has they only have 4 or 5 clubs. They have like a little Sunday bag with their driver and whatever else. So it's pretty funny.
As soon as the ball, like they're putting, as soon as it stops moving, they hit it again.
Yeah. Have you convinced your wife to remortgage your house to buy more clubs now? Or?
Oh, dude. Okay, so, all right. I texted you this the other day. I was like, I'm like joking, but I'm not. If we do live in a simulation, golf is a virus in the simulation that infiltrates men's minds and just takes over their life.
Yeah.
And sometimes they get a bad version of the virus and it's just like ruins their life, and maybe they like get a divorce and lose their house, and it's just like
just
the nth degree bad, right? Yeah. Some people get a mild form of the virus and they can manage it, and they got some antivirus software in there. And I was thinking through it. Okay, so I think people in general, like let's look at like society in general. We're consumers. Yeah. We consume things. We like things. That's why phones always get better. Computers always get better, right? Well, that same thing applies to like golf, right? You get these things. You get clubs. You get 14 of them.
Yeah.
And each of these things, there's a million different producers out there, businesses that are trying to sell you their club. So then not only are you getting kind of beautiful pieces of equipment, you're getting a nice like milled putter, and it's like it actually looks really nice. Like there was some craftsmanship, there was thought, there was engineers, there was designers. So you get the dopamine hit of getting something new. Yeah. And then you're trying to think, maybe this thing is going to make my game better. Well, so not only do I
like it's going to give you 2-3 strokes off your game, right? You're like, oh,
yeah,
hell yeah.
You're like, I love golf. Yeah. This thing is giving me a dopamine hit from a new item because I love having it. I love looking at it, and I get to use it and use the item, not just stare at it. It's not like a nice painting that I like on the wall. No, I get to like play with the item, and it's going to make the game I like better. So the raw dopamine hit for clubs and equipment for golfers is through the roof. Oh, yeah. Like, and it's attainable. It's not like I'm buying a $2,000 pair of skis or $2,000 pair of skis or like a $5,000 bike. No, I can actually kind of justify a club.
Oh yeah.
And so it makes the accessibility for the dopamine hit right there. Mm-hmm. And I've got like 14 of them, and I can have 20 clubs in my garage and swap them out. Dude,
it's like, oh, this one didn't work. This is what I'm slicing. Oh, I can go to this one. I can get this. Like, this will fix that. Now you're doing this. It's like, okay, well, this will fix that.
And you watch YouTube, and you just watch someone like just loving something. They're like, this changed my game. This changed my game. You're like, it'll change my game. I know.
You look like 2 weeks later, they're back to the same putter. You're like, well, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, dude. Yeah. It's a crazy game. It's a crazy sport, and I could see how you could spend thousands and thousands of dollars on this game if you wanted to.
Yeah. Like I've gone with the approach of like, I'm buying used, I'm buying on sale. Like I'm never buying anything new. The one thing I have a friend that can get deals on clubs, so I'm not buying new, or full price. The only thing I can justify like I might buy full price if I had to was like a putter. You know what I mean? Like sure. Everything else, you just whatever. Like there's so many out there, whatever. I think a putter is something you can truly like spend money on, and that thing will last you like 20 years. If you love it and 100%. That's part of your game, like absolutely dig in there.
You're so right. And a putter, and I'm learning this. A putter is something that you need to love.
Yeah.
And it needs to be something that when you're above the putter, that is confidence inspiring.
Yeah.
That you feel connected to, that you like the way it looks, that you like the way it feels. If you look down and you're like, I hate that line. I hate how that looks. Like that will fuck with your head. Yeah. You got to look at your putter and be like, this thing's a weapon. Yeah. I got a weapon in my hand, and you just crush it. You can see the ball. It goes where you want it. It's like, it's your prized possession, and it has to work for you. Yeah. And it might be that $700 putter, but I've heard some people say for them, it's their $40 putter they got 20 years ago. And they're like, I've tried other things. This was the one I love. Yeah. It works. Doesn't matter what it is, but you've got to find your putter. But it might cost you $5,000 and 30 putters to figure that out. But that putter existed.
Yeah, it does. And what did I grab? Because anytime I go to Golf Town, there's a big row of putters there. I'll grab one and like, oh yeah, this feels nice. This feels nice. This feels terrible. I think I picked up one that was like $600, and I was like, this feels so nice. But I bought so many clubs this year that I can't justify it. Like, oh no. And I just bought a new foil board too for the lake. I'm so excited for that.
Oh,
have you seen
wow.
it?
Have you ever been on one of those?
I never have. I've been on Air Chair, which is like the sit down version, like very old school. but never the new one. I'm
I
excited.
want to come and like record your first time using it. You just gotta,
I've heard like, so there's my one friend was telling me, he's like, yeah, there's his friend of a friend or whatever brought out 2 guys, they're like snowboard pros. One got it like instantly, was out there, was like crushing it. Another one like 30 times and just ate shit every single time. So I don't know how this is gonna go. I feel like I'll be okay.
cool. Like if you can get like the leg pump,
Yeah.
and you're going like they're sweet.
Oh yeah.
Zip around everywhere.
Yeah, and I got the juicy one too. A full carbon mast on it. It's like, yeah.
Dang. You buy that new or get that used?
I got a deal, Josh.
You got a
That's
deal.
new.
Yeah,
I
you
got a
love
deal.
deals.
I gotta get
deal.
I gotta
You
get.
never pay full price for
Are you
anything.
kidding me, Josh?
That would break your heart.
Yeah.
Having to pay full price for something. You just wouldn't do it. Like,
is there a discount code? 5% off. I'll take it.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Anything and everything.
Oh man.
Let's get into Hyrox a bit.
Cool.
Hyrox, we've talked about it before. Hyrox is an interesting thing. It's like it's kind of like the Spartan race phenomenon. You know, like it's gaining so much traction. Spartan race was huge there for a while. It's kind of fall off. I wouldn't relate to CrossFit because CrossFit has kind of stood the test of time to a certain point. I guess I feel like it's kind of it's slowly growing, but it's not growing as rapidly as it did in the past. CrossFit supports Hyrox. Did you see that one coming? Have you seen that article?
What do you mean? Like, are you talking about the community or like CrossFit HQ?
CrossFit HQ. They wrote an article saying they support Hyrox, which is very interesting because they, and I think it was very smart for them. Whether it like they pair up and do something or they just appreciate it, but I think they took it from the perspective of like CrossFit prepares people for it, even though it's very structured. Like it is basically an hour-long chipper. That's what it is. Like Hyrox, and you know what to train for. I think people like that idea of like CrossFit is constantly varied functional movement, so you can't know what the workouts are, right? But in Hyrox you do, so you can prepare for that accordingly, and it is very specific. And you see a lot of CrossFit athletes, like I saw T. Claire Toomey, James Neufeld, like these big CrossFit names going to Hyrox.
Yeah.
And I think they like the idea that I don't have to like the stress of not knowing, you know, I can just prepare for this. This is what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I can commit my year to this and getting better at this while still probably like supporting these other things, but you have that focus. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what people like. And that's what I think CrossFit gives people, this outlet. Maybe that's why I support it. Maybe they're just trying to like keep a good brand relationship. I'm not sure. Like, what's your thought on that?
You have to be a really good runner.
Yeah.
So all the CrossFitters that do it, they end up having to devote a lot more time to the running.
Yeah.
But I do think that they tend to excel at things like wall balls and like all like the stations. They do really well at all those stations, but then they lose time on the running.
Yeah.
And I think it's like basically on one hand you have CrossFit where they're going to really prioritize, you know, maybe you not being the best running athlete, but you being very strong, because Hyrox doesn't really prioritize strength.
Yeah.
Like anyone with a good endurance base that can lift medium loads can go and probably kick ass, and they can get the running up a little bit and do pretty well. Whereas CrossFit's gone so far in the, like, if you're not really strong, like you don't really have a chance of excelling in CrossFit. Yet people outside of CrossFit could potentially do well in Hyrox by just gaining kind of like a base level of strength. And then you have to ask yourself, like kind of back to that, like what's optimal? Like there's probably, like if you looked at being an elite CrossFitter, like you're too far maybe in one direction.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe that's kind of a balance for some people where it is less demanding maybe on the body
and the mind,
breaking things
too,
down.
Right? And the mind too, probably. Right?
And the mind. Yeah. Like it's to be an elite CrossFitter, man. That is one hell of a sport. I can't actually at this point imagine the mental toll it would place on some people.
Yeah.
You know, back a few years ago, it was really like if you just wanted to put the work in and you had, you know, a little bit of just a genetic background, you'd be fine. Yeah. But now it is like you have people that it is the top echelon of what's possible for human beings to achieve from a genetic standpoint, and they're all competing against each other now.
Well, and it's funny because I think you're to relate it to a different sport but similar, like pickleball. You know how pickleball is like the craze, it's super accessible, whatever, and like the top echelon of pickleball, I think you're gonna see that same growth of like exponential growth until you get these specimen in there. Like you had, I forget what the tennis player, he went into pickleball and he just dominated because he is like he's that good and that's what he is bred for. Like I think you're gonna see the same kind of thing where those people are gonna rise to the top and eventually it's gonna flush out all the weaker people, and you saw that in CrossFit, right?
Yes.
And I think kind of go back to that the ODR race is like the Spartan races and whatever else they were. I think their true failing, and whether they've truly failed or not, is that the exercises that they did was like spear throw or like these random things where it was not very measurable and not very controlled. It was a very like super varied and like just weird movements, awkward movements. Like I get the concept behind it, but I think that's why people are embracing the Hyrox, because it is very controlled. You can tell what a wall ball is. You can tell what a calorie is. Like it's very measurable and very easy to see what is there, right?
And you're right in the sense of it is a great way to prepare for Hyrox because you have a bunch of elite CrossFitters that can make that bridge instantly, and then without even training for Hyrox, score among the top. Like a lot of them didn't win, but they were like top 5, and it was like their first time ever doing it.
Like let's do this.
When
for
can
fun?
you just switch a sport? You know, in a way, it's kind of dunking on them though, in a little bit, because it's like our sport's so good. We can almost win your sport without even trying, without even training for your sport.
This is cute, like hey, little guy.
Just show up and just win. You guys call this a sport over here?
Oh, that's funny.
We do this without training for it.
Yeah, I think you'll see, like, I don't know how many more years you'll see Hyrox. Like, it's the flavor of the year or the next couple of years. I don't know what the next one is. I'm curious to see what that will be and how they'll kind of adapt and grow from there.
Have you seen Brent Fikowski's like World Fitness
Project
or whatever?
Is that what
World Fitness Project?
Because they just had one, right? What is the deal with that compared to CrossFit?
Man, I'm just tuning into it. I wasn't paying attention, but I think it's like that committee that was focused on building safe competitions, and they basically ran it looked like a CrossFit comp, but it was supposed to be done with like the athlete safety at the forefront, which is funny because I saw a video from Andrew Hiller, and he was highlighting that they did like a heavy weightlifting event in the dark with like spotlights, and like I think Danny Spiegel had like a massive clean and jerk above her head, and then the lights cut out and it was like pitch black, and she had like 300 pounds above her head. So they're like, from the safety guys, this doesn't look very safe. Tough look.
It'd be interesting to see, like, from a programming like perspective, how that all pieced together, because you definitely, like, I loved watching the games. Like, those are some core memories of going to like the CrossFit Games and watching that stuff. But you definitely saw it's like, okay, was this safe? Like, was doing Murph in like 30 whatever degrees Celsius heat in this Carson sun, like, what is that safe? Like severe dehydration, all this stuff. Like, there's definitely safeguards that I think need to be put into play, and I'm curious if you see CrossFit. I think CrossFit will have to adapt those now based on what happened, but
to pivot back to Hyrox real quick, I think there's one other aspect we left out, and I think to some extent it is that relatability piece, where if you look at Hyrox, you're like, I can do that stuff. I can do all the movements. I can do everything. But when you watch like the CrossFit Games, you're watching the epitome of human performance, but there's also these complex movements. So they're doing snatches and rope climbs and muscle ups and handstand walking over parallettes. And it's like, it's not relatable. Like, it's cool to watch, but like Hyrox is relatable in every way, where the movements that they've chosen, you can do. And so that, and it does kind of like almost bring you back to like what is the optimal way to train. You look at like a Josh Bridges, right? Josh Bridges has his programming but he doesn't have complex movements. He doesn't put the Olympic lifts. He doesn't put all, everything's like power cleans.
Simple.
It's simple. It's snatches. It's just the kind of the fundamental stuff. And I think he gets a lot of buy-in because it's very simple where, I'm not.
It's like the street parking thing too, right? Like very simple, very approachable. Yeah.
Very approachable for a lot of people.
I think people like it too because it is just one piece. Like if you have to go in CrossFit competition, usually a full day thing or 2 days or 3 days, like it's a beast, right? I think Hyrox, how long does it take you? An hour?
It's an hour. I think the top times are getting like an hour.
Yeah, so an hour and a half, like
sub 50 minutes.
Yeah, like that is very approachable for someone. That's like someone training for a 5K, a 10K, a marathon, whatever that is, right? Like that's reasonable. So I think you're getting more buying because of that, right? Like it's just a more approachable piece. And you have all the age groups. Like they've done a very good job of, like there's all these different divisions. There's all this piece, and it's from their side. It's very easy to organize, right? Like the CrossFit Games, like that's a beast. Like how many events? How many? Like you need so much equipment to make that happen. How many semis does Rogue have? Like it's crazy. Hyrox is just what it is and does not change, right? And I'm curious if you'll see it change in the future. Like if in every year, they switch a piece of equipment out or they switch a thing out and they just kind of adapt it. So, it's this new piece I got to train for. Like, but they tell people that so they know they can train for that. And maybe that's how they create the variety in it.
Yeah, that's interesting because I guess like it is the same, right? Like the whole course layout, the order of like when you do things. This is the wall ball station. This is the lunge station. This is the farmer's carry station. Like, I don't know, but like, are they all unchanged in the same location? Like the course is the course. Is that sort of like what Hyrox is?
Probably know more since we've been talking this one.
Since we're talking about it, like we
quarterbacks. I don't know.
Is it because you're right? Like, I gotta wonder, like, can it ever change? Because then it like changes the times of everyone that's ever run it before you. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, maybe they just have different, like they run it for 2 years and then it switches, 2-3 years and then it switches, and like, oh, you were the best this time, you were the best in this era, the best in this area, right? Like,
so if there's a Hyrox that comes to Calgary, are we gonna sign up?
No, I don't.
A partner?
Oh, sure, I guess. If you were,
that'd be fun.
We
could go do it. I wouldn't do it solo, but we could.
No,
partner.
I would do that. Oh no, my coffee. Yeah. I also saw one last Hyrox thing, Hyrox cruise. So I remember they did this. Do you remember seeing this a while ago? It was like Fitness Adventures. They got a bunch of CrossFitters and they went on a boat from Miami. This was after Wadapalooza, which is the CrossFit thing in Florida. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, I remember seeing that for sure.
How awkward would that be as an athlete, just to be like trapped on a boat with all these super fans? Because that's who's signing up. Like, who else is signing up other than super fans?
I couldn't imagine anything worse, actually.
Dude,
than that experience.
They would have to pay me, like, if I was in the, like, say, Noah Olson or someone, you have to pay me a lot of money to be on that boat to deal with that shit. Like,
but I just feel like I'd be surrounded by a bunch of intense,
it'd be too
weirdos.
Much, yeah.
Like, it'd be too much. Like,
it'd be like
even
on a
just
church retreat or something. Like, it's similar vibes, right?
Yeah, everyone's just like doing burpees on the ship deck. Like,
what is happening?
Like, okay, like, this is too much.
Let's do a lot. Where's my nuts and stuff to eat?
Yeah, that'd be too much.
Yeah, I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, and especially being that being the guy that everyone's there for.
Yeah,
I remember hearing that. I can't remember who was on it. Like, was it Brooke Wells or something like that?
Yeah, all those
there
like,
was some
famousy people, and I don't know, man.
Yeah, and there's nowhere to run. You're on a boat.
You just have to hide. Like I remember, I think Rich Forney was on one because he talked about being in the movie theater or something there. Like you just hide in the movie theater, watch movie after movie or something. Like that's what I would do.
Oh, dude.
But apparently they have a Hyrox version of that now, so I'm curious to see what that's like.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a competition. Like that'd be a good way to do it, I guess, is like take your boat out and then you run the competition on the boat. I guess if you're into that kind of thing, still. I don't know.
Would you ever do a cruise? Like, I'm not talking about fitness cruise. Would you ever just do a cruise in general?
I think the only one I would do is like a Bahamas, whatever, like Caribbean one. Even then, I think that I'd be like, oh, that'd be cool to see all these different things, but I hate people. Like, I don't like being around people.
Yeah.
It's awful. Like I just don't enjoy it at all. I took a test the other day at work to see if I have social anxiety, and I just have a strong dislike towards people, basically.
It's not even anxiety. I just hate people.
Right? Like I just don't like that environment. Like concerts stress me out. Like I hate being around all those people you can't control, and I just feel like a cruise would be the same thing where you just have to like sit in your room, and I get motion sickness too, so that wouldn't be good.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're never doing a cruise.
No. Are you a cruise guy?
No, I'm not. I've never done one. Yeah, the thought of it isn't very good. But I've heard some people play devil's advocate and they're like, it's pretty good. It's like an all-inclusive. And then you wake up and you're in a new place and you get to go explore a new city. And then you come back and you eat some good food and go to bed and wake up and you're in a new city. And I've heard like that side of it. And they kind of hype it up a little bit. Yeah. But I've always just thought about what it would be like being trapped on a boat, like for that long. With all these people, like that doesn't really appeal to me.
The craziest thing that like kind of sets me off, and I'm like, I don't like the idea of this, is there's like a morgue in the basement of these cruise ships. Oh, because like, what are they gonna do if someone dies? And people will die on the cruise ship. Like that's the kind of person that's going on a cruise ship.
Right, and old.
Yeah, the people are just gonna croak. So they just have a morgue apparently in the bottoms of cruise ships, just holding these bodies. Like,
dude,
kind of weird.
Dude, have you seen the video? Well, okay, two things. There's a large amount of people that disappear on cruise ships.
Yeah.
Because they just fall overboard.
Yeah, like gone.
No one watches them.
And
they're in the middle of the ocean, pitch black. They're drunk, right? It's like an all-inclusive. You get hammered people, and you get someone that just stumbles over, falls over the balcony, dead in the ocean. So two things. One, could you imagine falling overboard on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean, pitch black, so you can just take off? How terrifying that would be. Yeah. There's another video that I saw of a guy falling overboard on a cruise ship, and then sharks started grabbing him. I was like, this is the most insane video I've ever seen. Like, middle of the ocean is terrifying.
Okay, it's recording in. Okay, we lost you there for a minute. My computer. Oh, anyways. All right, we're back. Sorry for the little disconnect there. What were we talking about? Cruise ships.
It got dark and morbid for a second.
It got real dark there.
We don't need to go
we'll end it up. I think we'll end it with that.
Well, we need to end it on something more light.
Whoop. Have you seen the new Whoop bands?
Yes, and I don't know how they can track blood pressure. Tell me.
So, very interesting. I was on a good friend of mine. His dad was talking to somebody that they can apparently. The sensors in here to study the blood flow like through your wrist. Like when it's connected to your wrist, it tracks the flow of blood and somehow some kind of sensing with the blood flow is how they determine it. So I'm curious to see if that's super accurate because that's a game changer. Like if you can get blood pressure and an ECG on your friggin' phone, like that's kind of crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
We should look more into it. See if there's any validity. I want to know, is it accurate? Is it accurate enough? I don't want a half-assed blood pressure thing. I want, if it can get me pretty close, that's cool. Yeah, like
if it's within 5 or 5, even 10, it's a pretty good, like, miss range, whatever they call it. Yeah. Like that's pretty good. Yeah. I'm curious. I haven't had a Whoop, and I've never had a Whoop. You had a Whoop before, right? Yeah, I'm curious. Would you ever switch from your Garmin to back to that?
It would have to be really. I love my Garmin, just like the golf and the fitness tracking, and I love it.
Well, I guess too for us, like what do we need the blood pressure and the ECG for? Us currently right now, why maybe when we're older. Yeah. If you're older, that makes some sense. If you had some health stuff, whatever, that makes sense. But for where we are right now, like I love my Apple Watch. Yeah. I'll use that, and mine's like 10 years old, so maybe I gotta get a new one. But
I also feel that Whoop has an expiry date.
Yeah,
I truly think so because people like other companies are gonna just eventually like that tech will be in Apple Watches and it will be in Garmin's. And why would you buy this subscription base? Because it's expensive.
It is. That's the tough part.
It's a subscription. It's not like you can just buy the watch and own it, where you can with Apple and Garmin. Yeah. You're subscribing to this thing that does the same, and it doesn't tell you the time, and it doesn't act as a golf.
It doesn't do messages, anything, right? Like, yeah. I agree with you. I think it's very like niche market, and I don't know. Yeah. I'm with you there.
Well, that was a nice way to wrap up the podcast.
Yeah, that's better. That's better than the shark attacks whenever on the boat. Thank you for watching, listening, whatever you're doing. Make sure you like and subscribe.